Today I'm going to show you how to take those Tinkercad thread skills and put them to good use. So let's get cracking. Of course, our project is going to be using Tinkercad.com. It is a 100% free 3D design website. We are going to get to today's project in a fun way. If you click on the gallery, these are what are called staff picks, and the project I made last week is a staff pick. Of course, it is set to copy and tinker, so don't forget the golden rule of Tinkercad. Give a reaction before you copy and tinker. Now, when you use copy and tinker, you get an exact copy of my project. As you can see, I've left notes that explain it. Start here mentions that you need to use a calculator. The next note mentions that this is a 21mm opening. And then finally, right here, you can find the actual tutorial. Now, to open one of these, you can, of course, copy and paste that. You can also just right-click and say, go to the bit.ly, and bang, you will be able to make a copy of the printable thread pitch calculator. So this calculator is set up to make the awesome thread and cap that I'm showing you in that little video clip. Of course, you do need to complete this tutorial to fully understand how that works. If you're looking for more projects I will highlight, that is my thread playlist. Before I dive in, friends, I do want to mention this video is sponsored by PCBWay.com. Their easy-to-use website is my go-to whether I'm doing a 3D printing, CNC, or PCB prototype project. They offer prototyping for as low as $5, and you can also have your parts assembled. If you're looking for 3D printing or CNC, they offer a full suite of services that'll help you whether you're making your first prototype or running a full batch of parts. All right, so of course we've got to measure this. And I just want to get close because you never know, a different brand might be different. So something close to 28. And 62 is what we need for a waste bag holder. All right, so here you can see I have bounced to that spreadsheet. Notice this one is my copy, so it's not the one you guys are all getting. And I have input my numbers. I'm using 32mm for that opening. I have chosen tube walls of 1.5, and then I've got my additional gap set at 0.2 because I want this one to be pretty tight. Of course, as I said a moment ago, for all of this to make sense, you need to have completed this tutorial right here. I'm going to trust you to do that on your own, though, and let me show you what I've built. This is where I have adjusted those threads. I have got the cap piece, and I've got the part where it screws into. And then I have drawn these parts with Sketch Revolve. Let me show you how this works. I'm going to do Control D to make a copy. I'm going to move this to the side, and I'm going to ungroup it so you can see what it's made of. Of course, we've got a hole. That's what cuts out the opening. I'm going to hide that real quickly. And then if we click on this, it is a single revolve. If I hit edit, you can see inside, it is just this shape right here. Notice that makes that. And then I also added a little nub shape where the spool sits. This part back here I'll show you in a second once we close it. That is a separate hole that we cut in using a torus. So I'm showing you the hole that the torus makes there. And of course that is the torus before I group it. And then I did the same thing for the top where it's going to screw in. If we click these two parts and hit T to shut off transparency, bang, you can see how it is going to slide inside there. And then I'm going to be able to cap it later, and boom, this is where we'll pull the waste bags out later. How cool is that? Right now I'm going to grab these two parts and let's export them for 3D printing. As an STL, I'm going to store it in my 3D modeling folder. Instead of the numbers 32 and 1.5, which were the measurements, I'm going to make it say dog waste and save changes. And now we can bounce to Bamboo Studio, create a brand new project. Today I'm going to use my standard settings. Let's hit add, find the dog waste. I'm going to print it with the blue that is loaded. If we hit slice plate, notice it mentions this spot's not supported. I'm going to simply back up and I'm going to enable supports. I do like to use the tree, and let's slice the plate. And it goes to 1 hour and 9 minutes, and you can see that one part is supported. Let's hit print plate, and send it for 3D printing. All right, and here we are, friends. This is the threaded container. As you can see, we've got the little hooks, and even with my bandaged hand, we can get that in there and tighten it down. And just like that, we've made our own custom threaded dog waste bag container. Of course, just add your own little ring back here so you can connect it to your leash. How cool is that? All right, so as I wrap up, remember the steps really were find the opening you need, and then once you've got that, you make the threads to build your part, and as you can see, they turn out pretty darn spectacular. Friends, I do want to quickly say thank you to everybody that supports me via YouTube memberships. Don't forget there are 3 different levels of support starting as low as $5 a month. With any level of support, you get early access to videos. Also, make sure you pay attention for those members-only posts. Also, a massive shout out to everybody that supports me via Patreon. That group has grown to more than 450 members. It has a fantastic free messaging area. Of course, you can learn more with the bit.ly up above or the link in the description. Finally, friends, I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget every time you like, hype, share a video, add a comment down below, or click subscribe, you're helping HLModTech get just a little bigger, which absolutely makes my day. Friends, have a glorious day, and keep tinkering.